The lazy generation, 18 reasons why employers aren't hiring Gen Z. The buzz around Gen Z and their place in the job market is louder than ever. Employers are scratching their heads, wondering if this tech-savvy generation is worth the hype. Here are 18 reasons why employers are hesitant to hire Gen Z. Lack of work experience. Employers often find that Gen Z applicants haven't clocked enough hours in real-world job settings. According to Savvy Dime, a resumebuilding.com survey of 1,000 hiring managers showed that almost 80% saw Gen Z's lack of real-world experience as a problem. While internships and part-time gigs are helpful, they don't always provide the depth of experience needed to tackle more demanding roles in the workplace. There's two things I want to say about this. First, they're young. Gen Z's young. Of course they don't have real-world experience. This is crap. I have experienced this too when I was much younger, my early 20s. It's like these employers for entry-level jobs, they want so many years of experience. What the hell? I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. So this isn't really new for hiring managers to complain about. This younger generation has no experience. Yeah, what did you expect? They're brand new to adulthood. And one thing that really bothers me, and this helped me out with my career, while internships and part-time gigs are helpful, but right here, they don't always provide the depth of experience. Internships help me, but that's very discouraging. So it's what's the point of taking an internship now? They're supposed to help you build experience. You provide free labor, basically, for a reference and work experience. Just so they could either hire you within the company because they put in the time for you. They're willing to hire you because they got an idea of who you are. Or you just take that experience with you and go find someone who's willing to pay for those skills now. Or part-time gigs. Part-time work is still work. Whether it's part-time or full-time. Can you do the job? Who cares if it's part-time or not? Unrealistic salary expectations. Fresh out of college, many Gen Zers expect salaries that rival those of seasoned professionals. Employers cringe at these lofty expectations, knowing that entry-level positions typically come with entry-level pay. This disconnect often leads to frustration on both sides. Gen Zers have it really tough with how expensive things are. How things are so inflated, yet the pay and wages have not gone up. I think this disconnect here is just Gen Z's okay, if you want me to work full-time for your business, I have to have my basic needs met. I got to be able to pay rent, get food, transportation, insurance, all of it that any adult needs. Just the basic things. And if it doesn't pay, I can't work for you. I'm sorry, I can't. And then, these hiring managers these freaking Gen Zers they expect so much money right away. They just, I know they're not asking for CEO pay, but I would like to know from people in the workforce about Gen Z if they're just asking for too much pay, because I don't think it's crazy to ask for a salary that meets your basic needs. Communication barriers. Face-to-face communication, not their strongest suit. Gen Zers are masters of digital communications, but can struggle with in-person interactions. Employers worry about how this might impact teamwork and customer relations, making them hesitant to bring young hires on board. Well, first, who's the employer? If it's McDonald's or something, they're going to learn real quick. Face-to-face interaction. They're always hiring because they have a high turnover rate. The job sucks working at McDonald's. It's not easy. You're working so hard, you're busting your butt for little pay. But if they want an office job, okay, I get it. I get that, but they're still young. They're going to have to work on it. And maybe just, it should be a reflection of your management of hey, this is how we bring people up. Who's going to take over our positions one day? Plus, it's communication barriers. You could say it's more relevant for Gen Z, but I've met plenty of millennials, Gen X, boomers, who have a communications barrier, who have anxiety talking to people face to face, and that's not talking down on them. It's just some people just can't do it. Job hopping mindset. Loyalty isn't a word commonly associated with Gen Z. They're notorious for job hopping, seeking new opportunities every couple of years. This relentlessness makes employers wary of investing time and resources in training new hires who might not stick around. Well, I've heard this for a while, job hopping and how people get paid more job hopping. And loyalty between the employer and employee, who killed it first? I want to say it's the employer, because the employer has zero problem firing people. Happens all the time. I've been laid off twice, and this was during the 2008 crisis, right? No fault of my own, working hard, company failed, made bad decisions, made bad moves, and they fired me and a bunch of other really good employees. And you know what, Gen Z, they have seen their parents and grandparents go through difficult times, providing loyalty to companies who had no loyalty back, willing to kick them to the curb. Yet they expect us to provide like a 2 weeks notice when we want to go to another job and stuff like that. But then, nope. Employers have no problem firing people. And you see it all over the news about like how firing, it's like so normalized. Losing your job, getting laid off, is such an earth-shattering experience. It makes your life so hard. It's totally life-changing. But yeah, this job hopping mindset. But if you want to keep these young people around who are doing really good at the job, you better keep their pay slightly above the average that's out in the market for their position, because you know you have a good one, you better hold on to that good one. Over-reliance on technology. While tech skills are a plus and over-reliance on gadgets can be a downside, some Gen Zers might struggle when tech fails, lacking the problem-solving grit that older generations developed without constant access to technology. Employers need a balance, not a dependency. So I think what this is saying is the lack of critical thinking, like problem solving, right? So if you have a computer, you don't have internet, what do? Right? You can figure it out on your own, you call IT. But apparently a lot of Gen Zers just quit. Like, I don't know. Now, in one of my most recent videos, I talked about how Gen Z, their tech skills are really only on tablets and cell phones. They weren't like Gen X and millennials where we grew up with computers, and then all these jobs required you to know computer skills. So Gen Z, if you're watching this now, you better be on top of computer skills right now. Yeah, you might be great with cell phones and tablets, but a lot of employers, they don't need that skill right now. Not a lot of them. Most need good computer skills and how to problem solve, critically think. Something happens, what do you do? What do you do? And how do you overcome obstacles? Need for constant feedback. Gen Z thrives on immediate feedback, but in many workplaces, this just isn't feasible. This need can come off as high maintenance to employers used to more self-sufficient employees. The constant reassurance seeking can be seen as a distraction rather than a benefit. In a way, I understand this. I've worked with some younger people who constantly need positive reinforcement. Which for me, that's kind of like my leadership style. I like to first start off, when I first get a feel of everyone, I give them positive reinforcement, like good job, outstanding, doing great, just make them feel good. I notice a lot of them, they respond well to that. They're willing to work harder. They feel more comfortable asking questions and doing really well at work. You will find out who doesn't really care about that. So you kind of just figure out different methods. Maybe they work better with an iron fist, or, bring a little bit of fear. Or there's just some people who just straight don't care about the job. And you can kind of tell they're going to be on their way anyway. They're going to quit on you eventually. But I get the constant positive reinforcement. It can be like, dude, I can't do this every day. I'll give it to you here and there. But I will say this. No news is good news. Entitlement issues. There's a perception that Gen Zers feel entitled to perks and privileges without putting in the hard work. Well, who raised Gen Zers? Newsweek said in the survey by Resume Builder, roughly 1 in 2 hiring managers had doubts about Gen Z's reliability and work ethic. Employers are cautious about hiring individuals who may expect too much too soon, fearing it could disrupt team dynamics and work culture. So this part says employers are too cautious about hiring individuals who may expect too much too soon. I can see it as a positive thing that you want ambitious people on your team, but I also provide them with realistic expectations of how to move up. Like, hey, I really like the motivation. It might, to get what you want, like promote up, it might not be as fast as you want it to be, but I can assure you that it is achievable. Might take some time, year or two until you get the next promotion, but while you're on this journey, this is what you need to acquire. These are the things you need to learn. This is the experience you need to have. This is how you present yourself. So a lot of this has to come with leadership and with these new Gen Zers coming into the work office, how to be a better mentor for them and a better leader and set them up for success. Disdain for traditional work hours. The 9-to-5 grind doesn't appeal to many young professionals. Gen Z prefers flexible schedules and remote work options. While some companies are adapting, others find it challenging to accommodate these preferences without compensating productivity. I feel like since the pandemic, everyone who worked remotely or was forced to work remotely was like, why can't this just be a norm? Why do I have to go in the office? And be stuck in traffic 1 hour each way, fighting with other drivers on the road who are honking, no turn signal, cutting me off, brake checking me, taking that stress to the office, and then go through that traffic again, take that stress at home, and trying to sleep through that until the next day and repeat, 4 more times in the week. In addition, Gen Zers were in school. Most of them were in school when the pandemic happened, and they got accustomed to it. And I don't think it's a bad custom. And having that expectation is like, you can get a good job working remotely or that has flexible hours. So I say, let these employers complain about it. Continue to complain about it. And it's not really 9 to 5, it's 8 to 5 plus, that hour lunch in between that doesn't belong to you. You don't get paid for it. And the commute travel is not your personal time. So it's a lot of not your personal time being wasted just going to and from work. And I think the only thing that it's up to the employers to figure out, this last part where it says accommodate these preferences without compromising productivity, how to maintain a high level of productivity. And the best employers will beat out the competition. These Gen Zers will figure it out. They'll probably figure it out. I believe it. I have confidence that Gen Z will figure out how to provide a better working life outside this whole 9 to 5 grind, and have better flexible schedules and remote options and work-life balance, as everyone likes to call it, that doesn't really compromise productivity because people will want to work for you. Now, I don't have the answer of how it can be achieved, but I can see the opportunity is there. Social media addicts. Employers often find Gen Z's attachment to social media concerning. Hofstra News says an intense exposure to devices and technology since childhood makes this group susceptible to eye disorder, a relatively new condition in which individuals engage in compulsive internet and technology use. With the younger generation using social media for hours a day, this can be a significant distraction, impacting overall work productivity. This tendency makes employers question their ability to stay focused and committed to their tasks. Again, I think this is something that's more prevalent to Gen Z because they're growing up with cell phones and tablets and using social media and all the instant gratification stuff and impulsive stuff. But I still know plenty of millennials, Gen X, and even boomers who are addicted to social media. Especially like TikTok too. Boomers on TikTok, they're like obsessed with the mindless scrolling. I'm not on TikTok because I see the problem well ahead. I'm not getting involved. But this can impact work productivity. I do agree with that because I've been in plenty of jobs where people at work, when they're supposed to be focusing work, just can't help themselves but to reach for their phone and look at social media real quick. And it's just like the endless scrolling of like, I need instant stimulation. It's like the moment they feel bored at work, they are reaching for their phones. And that's something that everyone, if they see that in themselves with social media addiction or cell phone addiction, whatever you want to call it, they need to work on that. Lack of soft skills. Soft skills like empathy, conflict resolution, and effective communication aren't always strong suit for Gen Z. Employers value these skills highly, especially in team-oriented environments. A lack of these essential qualities can make young applicants less attractive. I'm slightly confused on this. Maybe I'm reading this wrong or understanding this wrong, but lack of soft... I figured Gen Z was like the most sensitive generation in the workforce right now, who have the most empathy willing to reflect on feelings and whatnot. And I figured it'd be like the boomers out of all who would lack soft skills. They're the most like, boomers are more likely to be like upfront with you, not sugarcoat anything, not beat around the bushes, tell you things how it is, while, younger generations going from X millennials to Gen Z are more, have a more soft approach, try not to make you feel bad type of approach when they communicate with you. Maybe I'm wrong. Please comment below. Let me know if I'm wrong. Fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, is real for Gen Z and is often extends into their professional lives. This fear can lead to impulsive decisions like leaving a job for a seemingly better opportunity. Employers worry about the stability and consistency of young hires who constantly seek the next big thing. This is like the earlier one of like job hopping, right? Leaving a job for a seemingly better opportunity. Look, going somewhere that has better opportunities. Why not? Why wouldn't you take it? If a greater opportunity presents itself, most people are going to take it. Like, I'm doing the same job, but this other company is going to pay me more with better benefits. Of course I'm going to go to them. Who cares about loyalty? Because employers don't provide you loyalty. They're willing to kick you to the curb as soon as possible, or pay you less however they can. If someone can treat you better, of course you're going to go there. Of course anyone would do it. It's not just a Gen Z thing. This is all across the workforce. Preference for the gig economy. Many Gen Zers are drawn to the gig economy, favoring freelance work over traditional employment. This preference can make it hard for employers to find committed full-time staff. The allure of flexibility and independence in gig work often outweighs the benefits of a stable job. Well, it all comes down to, can the employer provide what's better than what these candidates like Gen Zers can get themselves as a gig worker? If you're working independently, you pretty much have the skills to be an entrepreneur. You can figure things out. What do you need an employer for? Unless that employer can provide you with great benefits and better pay than what you can find for yourself as a gig worker. So with this, I say good. Gen Zers, if you can keep having a stronger preference with the gig economy, with gig work, it puts employers on their toes, keeps them competitive, keeps them paying people properly. That has, well, hey, if we need these people, we have to pay them better, or else they're going to stay in the gig economy, and before we know it, we're out of business because we chose not to pay them better, right? Skepticism towards corporate culture. Gen Z tends to be skeptical of corporate culture and its emphasis on hierarchy and formalities. They prefer flat organizational structures and open dialogue. Employers who maintain traditional corporate environments might find it challenging to attract and retain these young professionals. I mean, corporate culture is just life-sucking. Everyone says this, and I think Gen Z is actually listening. Going, do I want to end up how my parents did, how my grandparents did? They hate their jobs, but hey, paid enough for the bills, right? Do I really want to be a part of that? Maybe I could figure out something better, and I hope Gen Z does. Short attention spans. Growing up in the age of instant gratification has impacted Gen Z's attention spans. Employers note that young hires may struggle to focus on long-term projects, needing constant stimulation. This trait can be hindrance in roles that require sustained attention and efforts. Honestly, sure, this might be more prevalent with Gen Z, but I've seen this across all generations too. That there's so many people with a short attention span. Shoot, I'm one of them. I'm willing to admit I'm one of them. Dealing with long-term projects is a drag, but it's just a matter of figuring out how do you cut this in pieces and have small victories. But I get that across the board. Again, this isn't Gen Z, but I feel like I know so many people who just can't handle things, and they need to be kind of fed just like small things at a time, where it turns out that before they know it, they just accomplished the bigger picture of things. But again, I don't think this is just a Gen Z thing. Valuing purpose over paychecks. This generation is keen on finding purposeful work, sometimes even at the expense of higher salary. While this is commendable, however, as it should say, employers might struggle to meet these expectations if the role doesn't align with the candidate's personal values and missions. And I say good. Honestly, I say good. Employers should figure out a way to meet these expectations. Like, people truly want real good purpose. This is what I was saying about the corporate culture, right? It's just so life-sucking. That's why you hear a lot of people, including myself, will say, find something you really enjoy doing the money will follow. Yeah, it might not pay a lot right now, but it will eventually follow, and you'll figure out ways of how to get that money to grow. Like, for example, say you like hamburgers, you like to make hamburgers. So sure, you work at McDonald's, you learn the business of like, okay, how do you work as a team? How do you manage a register? How do you doing the proper cleaning procedures? A lot of everything that comes to it. And then when you save enough money, you get your own little truck where you can make hamburgers, and then you go to events to sell hamburgers, and then before you know, you saved up enough money to start your own restaurant, and then you have a hiring staff because you learn all those trades from when you first worked at McDonald's. This is just one of many, many, many examples. I know I blew right through it, but it's to just kind of turn those cogwheels of like, okay, this is what you have to do for yourself. Work hard for yourself, not for the employer. Now, for the employer, how to make life feel more purposeful than it not suck so much. I mean, that's up to the employer to figure that out. Because for employers, it's like, the employer is really just hiring people to do something they don't like to do themselves. Right? They're like, I don't like doing account receivable stuff. I hate it, so I'm going to hire an accountant. I hate cleaning my own bathroom in the office, so I'm going to hire a custodian. That's really what the entrepreneur is doing. You're just hiring people to do things you don't want to do yourself. So I get it. Like, how do you make it purposeful? Honestly, that's a challenge. If I was supposed to consult the employer how to make, provide more value and purpose in the office, I don't know. I'd be a terrible consultant. Skepticism towards authority. Respect to authority can be a deal breaker. Gen Z often questions leadership decisions and prefers collaborative environments. Employers who rely on hierarchical structures might find it difficult to integrate young hires who challenge traditional power dynamics. Having a boss can suck, but I get it. Honestly, I get this because I've dealt with people who are always questioning everything. They're frustrating you. It's like almost they're intentionally doing it too. Of course, there's a point where you have to just teach people that, like, hey, let your boss make the decision. And if it goes wrong, it makes your boss look bad. Don't try to, frustrate him to change an idea. Because if he goes with your idea and it goes wrong, he looks bad either way. He or she, right, looks bad. Your boss looks bad either way. It's really up to the boss. So just wait until you're in that position of leadership where you have the experience and your say is final. Because you're the one with the consequences if things go bad, not the little obnoxious employee you have working for you, right? So I get it, the back and forth. And the one thing about bosses or leaders or supervisors, you learn two good things about them. You learn what to do and what not to do, and how you take that until you move on. But at best, I would say respect authority as much as you can. If you don't like it, you don't have to argue with them. Just leave. Find another employer to work for. But don't make yourself look bad by arguing and sounding entitled and this and that. If you just don't agree with the culture, you're more than free to find another place to work at. Demand for instant results. Patience isn't Gen Z's strong suit. They want results, and they want them now. This impatience can clash with the often slow, methodological process of many workplaces. Employers worry that this demand for instant gratification can lead to unrealistic expectations and job dissatisfaction. Honestly, I don't think this is just Gen Z. And as I said before, maybe it's more prevalent to Gen Z. No, I've seen this across the board in all generations, wanting instant gratification. Your boss says they want something now. It's like, dude, this is going to take 2 days to make the work. And they're like, oh, I'll make it 1 day. Like, oh, okay, right? So I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Feel free to comment. Let me know how wrong I am on this part. Prioritizing work-life balance. A strong emphasis on work-life balance is a hallmark for Gen Z. While this is healthy, but employers sometimes see it as a lack of commitment. The challenge lies in finding a middle ground where the needs of the business and the individuals are both met efficiently. I say, you know what, good, Gen Z. Keep striving for prioritizing work-life balance. Life shouldn't be about work. But of course, you still need to get paid, right? You still need to be able to pay the bills. I can't believe the audacity that this writer says, while this is healthy, they really should have put the word but. But employers sometimes see it as a lack of commitment. Dude, there's already commitment problems between the employer and employee. So if they see it as a lack of commitment, the employee sees a lack of commitment from the employer because they know they'll get fired the way their parents did or grandparents did. So what's the point? And they've probably been fired before anyway, laid off at no problems of their own that they committed, or fault of their own rather, that I should have said better. But yeah, I mean, prioritizing work-life balance, I say good. Honestly, I say good. I don't know how. I don't have the solution how, but I hope Gen Z figures it out. Okay, that was the last reason of... What was the topic again? Oh, the topic was the lazy generation, 18 reasons why employers aren't hiring Gen Z. But that's the end of this video. Please comment below. I do read them. And if you made it this far, I believe I deserve a sub. So please hit that subscription button and click like, share, all this other stuff. And I look forward to reading your comments. And until the next video, goodbye.